In this episode, we wanted to share 3 things each that we stopped doing in our 40s that completely transformed how we look and feel.
We know these will resonate with you because, as we know, what we used to do in our 20s and 30s often no longer works. We stop getting results and stop feeling our best selves. So we really can't wait to dive into this with you.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. Well, we've had New Year's,
It's
haven't
the
we?
first one of 2023. Happy New Year, everyone.
And did we do one before Christmas? Have we said...
We did one just before Christmas,
Yes.
and we took a week off over that
How
extended
dare
Christmas
we?
break.
How very dare we?
Did anyone else find that whole time period so discombobulating? All these odd days off. I mean, maybe we should just cancel Christmas going forward.
All right, Grinch. No, actually, I have to say, because we work, like everyone does, we all work hard, right? But actually losing some of that momentum for James and I, where we did allow ourselves to have a few days off, it just didn't feel quite right. I'm not quite sure what that says about us, but yeah, it felt really discombobulated, and it just took a while, and I know this is the same for so many people. It's taken a while to get myself in the groove again. I was feeling really flat at the beginning of this week still.
Well, I think the thing was because we worked right up to Christmas Eve, didn't we? We were still working Christmas Eve. We took Christmas Day and Boxing Day off, and then we were right back into it because we did like a masterclass on the 29th.
Yes, you're right.
We ran another one on January the 5th or 7th, was it?
Yeah, and I think actually, being super transparent, I think we just burnt ourselves out a little bit at Christmas. Well, just before December was so busy for us, so busy.
Manic. In the best way, we had our 21-day program, Vision and Vitality. It was just awesome.
And then we ran, obviously we had people doing the Midlife method, so it was all full on. So yeah, but I'm starting to get my mojo back now. I'm excited. I'm really excited for what 2023 holds.
So excited for 2023. Like I was saying this morning, we're only a week in, but like we're saying, it was like a week ago. Yesterday was New Year's Eve. A week ago, today was New Year's Day, but it already feels like weeks ago.
I know. James said he already feels like it's into February.
But in a great way. That means we've still got like almost all of January left to smash it, which we're determined to do.
We are really, really excited. We've got big plans, and we can't wait to share those with you throughout the year. But we are diving in today. Actually, before we dive in, I do want to also say that the Midlife method, we do the Midlife method. If you don't know what that is, do you know what? Here's the thing. We don't talk about it necessarily enough on our podcast. But the Midlife method is our program. It's our transformational program. It's 8 weeks, but it's a complete lifestyle change. So it actually sets you up for life. And this Midlife method has been going for quite a few years now. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of midlifers change their body, their minds, and their lives so they can live their best life. And the Midlife method just gets phenomenal results for people, yes, physically, but actually helping people to reclaim the happiness that they deserve, feel more confident, feel more aligned with what they're supposed to be doing in the world as they move through the second act of their lives. So we're actually starting our next cohort in just over a week. And we've only got limited spaces on it because we always want to keep it nice and personal. But a lot of those spaces have already gone. Now, if you do love everything we teach and love listening to our podcast, you're only getting literally the top line level here. In the Midlife method, we dive into everything you need to know to thrive at midlife and get the results that you want. So if you want in on that cohort, or you just want to know a little bit more, which is absolutely cool, just message us at team@themidlifementors.com, because if you want to make 2023 your year where you stop making excuses for yourself, where you actually take control of your body, your mind, and your life, and you are sick of waiting, sick of actually saying, I'll do that when XYZ, and actually just give yourself a long, hard look in the mirror and tell yourself that time is something you never get back. Time is finite, right? And life is not a dress rehearsal. So are you living your best life? And if you're not, you need us in your life, and you need the Midlife Method in your life. So message us at team@themidlifementors.com to get on with living your best life. Without any without any hesitation. Whoop whoop. Right.
Certainly we're going to be having 2023 is going to be our best year yet. So excited for it. But today we're going to talk about, we thought we had reflected on this, it's a time of reflection.
We reflected quite a lot, didn't we?
I wanted to do 5 things we've learned in 2023 already, but Claire wouldn't let me.
Well, no, because that's pretty much what we said at the end of. So I was like, no.
Stuff we learned in 2022.
James,
I've learned a lot in the first week of the year.
James isn't the content guy, are you, darling?
So what we're going to talk about today is things we gave up in our 40s.
Yeah, three things. So actually, we're going to go James, Claire. We're going to do 3 things each that we stopped doing in our 40s that transformed how we looked and how we felt about ourselves, to the point where I'm boldly going to say I definitely believe I look the best I have ever looked, and I can certainly say to James that he looks the best he's ever looked. He's actually got like a fine wine. He has got better with age. In the 10 years I've known James, he's got better and better and better physically.
Bless you.
And mentally, he's become an even more beautiful person, but your body is rocking. Rocking.
Well, you were saying that today when I was like, I wonder what a monkey would do in this situation. You were both saying, your mind isn't...
No, I think I might have said your mind is like a 6-year-old, actually, at that point.
That's really lovely of you to say. Thank you.
You're welcome. You can tell me the same if you want. No, I'm joking. I'm not fishing.
You honestly do look the best. You have just got better and better every year.
But so I was only kidding. I didn't need you to say that. I'm going to embarrass now. So yeah, 3 things that we stopped doing in our 40s. Well, James is now 50, so he can really he can now really say what he stopped doing in his 40s. I'm obviously 3 years into mine, but I can already. Oh my goodness, like so much has changed for me over the last few years, to the point where I do feel like I look the best and feel the best that I've ever looked. So do you want to go first, Mr. D?
Yeah, thank you. Age before beauty.
Well, exactly.
For me, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, we carry a lot of beliefs and baggage around from when we were younger, and I think for me, when I was a young child, I was an overweight child, and poor at sports and physically poor and all the rest of it. And I carried that baggage for a long time. So I think in an effort to kind of counteract that, I've always pushed my body quite hard in terms of, watching what I eat, but also doing really punishing workouts, like a lot of HIIT. So, I think when Claire first met me, I was 5-6 times a week, like doing HIIT sessions.
It was
plus
punishing.
Lots of other training.
But punishing.
And on paper, I knew that it was too much, but I was still carrying, like, if I stop this, I'm going to put on fat that I don't want. And as I've gone through my 40s, I've learned to relax around that. And I still do HIIT, but I probably just do 2 sessions a week now, honestly, and I'm just focusing much more on my lifting and my weights. And yeah, my results have got better as a result. I'm putting my body under less stress and strain, and getting better results and looking and feeling better. But still, fitness is a really important part. Because I think for me, the HIIT was on 2 things. Number 1 was actually having that level of fitness, but the main one was like managing my weight down. I've learned to manage my weight down with just like less HIIT. And I do more things for my fitness as well. So I'll go for runs. I'll do other things. So I'm still probably getting like 3-4 fitness cardio things in a week. But I'm just focusing much more on my weights and my lifting. And it's been a real
journey
and very liberating as well. So yeah, that's me. I've learned to stop punishing my body so hard.
Gorgeous, babe, really gorgeous. And I'm actually, that is kind of one of mine as well, but mine might be for a bit of a different reason. So mine is actually, I stopped doing so much cardio too, but for me, mine was just about kind of being, I suppose actually it was quite similar, being afraid that I might put on body fat, right? But actually, I started doing, until I met James, so this is really interesting, we went through this journey together. So when I met James, I'd already been doing all my spin classes, I'd really upped my cardio. So I was back in the UK, I didn't move out, I was doing all this.
But you were doing an insane amount of cardio when I first met you, because of all your classes you were taking.
So I was doing spin classes, I was doing insanity classes, I was doing some Les Mills classes, but actually, really interestingly, my body shape didn't really change. So, but I carried that on when I moved to Ibiza and James was doing his insane cardio sessions. I was just kind of like, I'm very competitive with stuff like that. So I was doing more and more and more. And actually I was noticing that my body was A, feeling pretty broken, but B, I was actually really holding on to body fat around my midsection. And now I know, especially coming into our 40s, right? Actually, this was just in my late 30s. I haven't been doing so much crazy cardio for a few years now. But, you know, coming into that time of my life, I know that if I raise cortisol in my body, that actually makes me hold on to belly fat. And it is a really scary thing to do less cardio. I'm not going to say it's not. Both James and I did, you know, it took a while and it was a little bit of a struggle to pare it back. But actually trusting the process, trusting the science, trusting everything that we geek out on and know to be true, it was a real trusting in the journey. So I do way less cardio now, but also because I want to protect my body. Okay, my immune system, as we're aging, our immune system is becoming weaker, our immune system. So what you don't want to do is raise that cortisol, but also go and really stress your bones, your muscles. You really want to be doing cardio in the right way with the right adequate rest and also fueling yourself properly. So yeah, that was one of mine as well. So I kind of piggybacked that one. Number 2 for you, Mr. D.
Yeah, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand, right? Because it's about how you feel and how you look and your perception of how you look. So for me, it was to stop obsessing so much about food, and in particular carbs. So when I was younger, you know, I wanted to put on more muscle. I knew that as well as protein, I had to eat a lot more carbs. It was always a mystery to me. Like I would always, no matter how hard I was training, continue to put on fat around my midsection, which may have been a stress response, but also
absolutely.
I did, you know, we do DNA testing. I found like I'm not good at processing carbs for energy. So actually now trusting the process of, you know, loading my carbs early in the day, but eating a lot of them, but like knowing just to taper them off late in the day. And relaxing about the whole approach. And, you know, if I am out and we go to our favourite meat place here and they have chips, just not worrying about it. Just be like, it's fine. I'm not going to worry for this one. So just relaxing and stopping obsessing about carbohydrates in particular, I think, has been massive for me in my 40s.
I've seen that hugely, and I think I've been a bit of a help with that. You know, I have really helped coach him around the whole carb thing. We all have our funny things, right? Because we've all got our belief systems and those negative voices that are in our head. But I do think it's been really, really amazing for us both to support each other on the journey of all of this. My next one is I stopped counting calories. So, oh my goodness, since I was 16, probably earlier than that actually, I counted calories. And I always get emotional when I'm talking about this because I think about how miserable my teens were and how miserable, you know, obviously not completely, but obsessing about food and it being your every waking thought, like what am I going to eat next? How many calories are in that? It was just horrific. And the times that I could stay within my calorie count, which wasn't my calorie needs, my god, it was way lower than my calorie needs, but when I stayed in my calorie count, I was really happy, and when I didn't stay in my calorie count, I felt like a failure, and I quickly dropped into the most horrible, dark, self-loathing places. And I knew all that time that I needed to do it a different way, but it wasn't really until my late 30s, coming into my 40s, to be honest, that I really, really grasped that it was not that and I didn't count calories for a long time actually, but I didn't grasp the power of actually understanding about meal timing, the makeup of my meals, like the macro makeup of my meals. So I stopped obsessing about calories and actually started to really geek out and use myself as a guinea pig around how I could sustain myself and nourish my body, because that's what nutrition is, nourish my body, stop obsessing about calories and still get results. And that was meal timing. It was the makeup of my meals. But it was also, you know, we're going to talk about, this is one of mine in a second, is like the whole mindset side of things. But yeah, stopped obsessing about calories so much, or at all, actually. I have to say, I don't even know. I don't even really know how many calories I have in a day anymore. I just have become very intuitive about what my plate looks like, what kind of food makes me feel good, what kind of food gives me results. That's it, really. And that's been a really long process. So anyone listening to this is like, oh my God, all I do is obsess about calories. Listen, if I can stop myself counting calories and obsessing about calories and find a different way that actually gets me better results, you can too. And this is what we give our clients all the time. I can't tell you how much music to my ears and James's ears when people come out saying, I am free. I am free and I am relieved that I no longer obsess about calories and food, full stop. It's amazing. That's mine.
Love that one. And I've seen that and it's a real change in you.
Thank you.
For me, my last one was I stopped not working or ignoring my mindset, which might sound like an odd one. So I guess, I was lucky to start. I was doing things like Tony Robbins when I was in my teens, but I didn't really get it. Of course, back in those days, there was no internet or anything. So I was just kind of like, who can help with this? No one really. And then, you kind of think, my mindset's okay, 20s to 30s. So I think the shock for me was obviously my separation and divorce in my early 40s, which kind of left me on the floor for a long time. And then I was like, I need to work to get myself out of this. Obviously I had my background, years of studying psychology, masters in psychology. I was like, well, I know all these tools, so I've just got to start using them myself. And I did. And then, I got together with Claire, and she's been a real inspiration on that front as well. And also, wanting to be a better version of yourself for me and for her. So I'm showing up better every day. It's just really accelerated my focus on working on my mindset, and actually, the words I kind of parroted out before, knowing like, you can change your beliefs, you can change your behaviors, you can make massive changes to your life, to your mindset. You can move from like obstacle to opportunity thinking. And this is what I want for me. This is what I now work on relentlessly every single day. And, I see it takes a while, but then you start to see the visible manifestation. You start to see the results of that change in thinking and the work. And it's amazing. It is alchemical, really. But yes, it wasn't until my 40s that I really started taking that seriously and working on it. And it took a trauma event to trigger it. But so glad that I have that now. And it is something that has transformed my life.
Well, yeah, and I've seen that as well. Again, I see that in you massively. But I think, it goes down to we can sit there reading books and we can meditate till the cows come home. But until we start putting some of these things into action to actually change the neural pathways and the neural structure of our brain, we're just going to sit on the sidelines of life, basically. Because the reason your external outward world started to change was because like energy attracts like energy, right? So if you're in a certain energetic space, that's what you are going to start receiving. And people don't necessarily understand that what they think is what they experience. So what's going on in their mind is what they experience. And, absolutely, I've seen you come on leaps and bounds in that area. And you helped me too with that. And, I suppose that goes on to my last one, right? Which is I stopped in my 40s, and this is so poignant for me and so important to me. I stopped comparing myself to others, on every level, actually. We're in a society where we, at the drop of a hat, we can just pick up our phone, which is really interesting because a lot of the time we're picking up our phone because we're uncomfortable in our own space, right? There might be an uncomfortable thought coming in. There might be something uncomfortable going on in your life. So rather than sit with that kind of feeling or in that moment, we pick up our phones and actually they increase our anxiety and depression because you're looking at the highlight reels of everyone else's life and you are comparing yourself to fantasy, to absolute fantasy, from what people's bodies look like to what their lives look like to what their relationships look like. So physically, I stopped comparing myself to other people. I stopped comparing myself to how many times they went to the gym or what ab exercises they did and all of this sort of stuff. Because actually, I know the power of my mind. This is where it comes into what James just said. What goes on in my mind goes in on in my body. My body responds to my thoughts, right? So if I'm constantly going, oh my God, that person's better than me, that person's better than me, my body is just going to not perform in the way that it should. It's not going to respond in the way that it should. It's not going to feel loved. So actually, your mind is the controller of your body, right? And they're completely interlinked. So they're in this cycle, this loop. So if I'm constantly feeding myself negative thoughts, my body is going to feel broken. It's probably going to get injured even more. That's how powerful this is, your mind. My body's going to get injured more. My immune system's going to drop because I'm comparing, I'm in fear, I'm in a critic mode, all of that stuff. So I really started focusing on not comparing myself to others and being just monitoring my own progress. And my goodness, right? Going back to the cardio thing, I stopped doing so much cardio, started doing more weights. My body now, because I don't compare, I don't sit on social media looking at other people's bodies. I just don't do it. I don't do it to myself anymore. I went cold turkey, don't do it. I unfollowed all of that stuff. And I now look better than I've ever looked. And I feel more confident in my own skin than I've ever felt.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. It's amazing.
So they're our 3 each.
There are things we'd love to hear from you. What have you given up? What have you stopped in your 40s? Or what would you like to stop? Where do you feel like you're still holding yourself back? And what would you like to move away from? We'd love to hear that.
Well, we'll probably do something like this again about maybe we'll do 3 things that we started doing in our 40s that completely changed our lives. Because actually, you know, James and I do operate at quite a fast pace, just in general, but we're learning so many things individually about ourselves, but also in business and all sorts of things. So that we'll probably tap into more of the mindset-y stuff, but we kind of wanted to focus a little bit more on the physical side of things right now, of what we stopped doing in our 40s that we were kind of doing in our 20s and 30s that no longer works. That's the thing. You hit a point, right, in midlife where you're like, this isn't working anymore, and this is what we coach our clients through all the time. It's one of the biggest mistakes. The common mistakes isn't your fault that people come up to it. You know, I'm doing this, that, and the other that I used to do in my 20s and 30s, and it's not working anymore. Well, you know, go figure. Of course it's not, because your hormonal makeup, everything is different about yourself as you go into your 40s and 50s. So tying that back to the Midlife Method, this is what we empower you with throughout our program, and we would be absolutely honoured to support you, hold you accountable. Again, the accountability piece is the missing link for so many people. How many people say, oh, I've lost motivation, I don't feel inspired, I don't feel supported by anyone, I feel really alone. Well, if you do, that's when you need to reach out to people that have got a proven blueprint, that get massive results for people, but can shine a light on what's possible for you, because you are full of potential, untapped potential, and you deserve to thrive and live this second act of your life in the best way possible, in mind, body, and soul. And, you know, if you understand that time is finite, that this is no dress rehearsal, you get this one life, we think so, but you've got this one opportunity, right? Start making the most of it so that you can create amazing memories for yourself and your loved ones. It's not about the longevity of your life, it's about the quality of your life as well. And that's what we want to help as many midlifers achieve and smash as possible. So message us, team@themidlifementors.com if you want
to hear from you.
That is a wrap, I think.
It is. I hope you've all had an amazing first week
Yeah.
of the year. 51 weeks to go.
Whoop, whoop.
Wow. A lot to be achieved during that time.
Yes. Yeah, anything is possible. Anything is possible. I will always say that.
All right.
Because it's true.
Wishing you all the best. Till next time.
Sending you lots of love. Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.